All right. So the next thing I want to do, the last thing we're going to do is just move our elements a little bit, our sections, if you will, our articles, actually, more specifically, just so that it could be a little bit more interesting. So currently, when we look at our page, it's just very vertical, right? It just goes from top down, right? So it's just one after the other, right? So which is okay to some degree, but what I want to do is be able to put these maybe like across and maybe these also across. And we're going to use what we've already known, but I just want to cover this one other thing as well. So right now it's following what we call normal flow. And what that means is that it just uses what the base format is of the elements inside the document. And it just goes from one to the next, right? So if an element is in line, the next element after that will happen right to the right of it, right? But if an element is block level, it's going to go one element down, and that's it. Like, and we haven't shifted anything around. They're just wherever they end up being by default is, I guess, the best way to look at it. So another thing you can do also is actually position elements. So with the position property. So basically, you write position, and then you can either make it static, relative, fixed, or you can also adjust the z-index, which is making things in front or behind other elements. Okay. So I'm going to show you what each one of these are. But position static, that means that is the default normal flow. You're not changing the position of something at all. Okay. So that's what position static is. All right. If you do position relative, so you make position relative, and then what you can do is that you can then go top, left, right, and bottom. Usually just do top and left because things push off. And what you do is you put a number in. So in this case, I'll say top, and then I do 50 pixels. That means it's going to put 50 pixels between this and the element above. And if I do left, it's going to put 50 pixels to the left of that. But it's going to be relative to the normal flow, meaning it would have been here. So wherever it started, it's going to be pushed down from there. It'll work, to be frank, a lot like margin. When you think about it, it's pretty similar, but this is using position instead. Absolute. Most of the time you want to use relative. You'll see later on, because when you make things that are responsive, it'll be better. Absolute, what that will do is it does not look at where it would be in normal flow. It says this is 0. And whenever number I put in, it's going to be offset from this. So if I do position absolute and I do top 50, left 50, it's not going to be from right here where it was supposed to be. It's going to go boom, and it's going to go from the top of the page down 50 and from the left of the page over 50. So that's absolute. This one's not as useful because what'll happen is that, again, if you have a responsive page and things snap and move around, it's just always going to be up in that corner. And you can see, you can run into weird errors here where see how it's like overlapping the other one now. So it's not a good way of working. We actually could, because we're making a fixed width static page. We actually could probably use absolute if we really wanted to, because it is the size that it is. There isn't going to be any shifting of the elements around. And then the last one, which is kind of the fun one, is the fixed. So fixed is like absolute, where it doesn't use normal flow. It'll use what you put. It'll do it from the browser. But the difference is that as you scroll, it will always be in that position in the window. So I made this little animation as an example. So if I set this thing's position, although I didn't make it top, if it was 0, it would be up here. But if I take this thing's position and I put it at 0 and make it fixed, as I scroll the page, that will always be there. So when you see like annoying pop-ups and you're scrolling through a page and they just stay with you, that is fixed. It's a lot like, remember when we were doing the background image and we can set it as fixed? It's the same idea here. You can just do position fixed, and you can apply that to any element. So text, links, images, whatever. You can make the position fixed, and then they will stand there. This can be useful as much as it seems annoying in this particular case. Sometimes people do fixed navigation bars. So as you scroll, the navigation bar will always be at the top. Sometimes they'll have code that it'll have a full bar, but when you scroll down, it'll create a smaller, more limited bar so that you can still navigate. So there are reasons to use fixed, and it's fun. But that's the other type of way of adjusting position. Okay. Yeah. So that's that.